Aloha, welcome back for another episode of the Gun Talk. This week we are going to be talking about the mass shootings that's been going around, the school shootings, and church shootings. We have Ken in here as and Big Hoss as our co-host. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
I guess Big Hoss is not back just yet, so we're gonna get started here. But we're gonna talk about our sponsors that we have for the channel. We got Dubby. If you like good energy drinks that has no harsh chemicals in it,
Okay, I'm back.
welcome back. But W is a good energy drink to have. I get drinking Japanese soda. I don't know what Kenan drinks.
I don't have any at the moment. I finished off my Japanese yuzu, and I absolutely love that flavor. It was a really good flavor. I have not gotten any more yet.
Ah. Well, to get 10% off your orders, use Flying Hawaiian, or if you like Canon more, you can use his. And what's your code?
My code is all capitals, Welder Wolf.
And we'll have a link down below in the description where you can go and get your 10% off of any W items. Our next one is Threat of a Resistance. If you like good dark humor shirts and like be able to take a joke, Threads of Resistance is a good way to do it. And flock around. The link and is down in the description below. And also, I have some mercs down there below in the comment description where you can support the channel. Every single item there is to support the channel so we can bring you more and more content. So today's topic is active shooters like mass shootings and all of that. What do you guys like to say about it?
Um, I really think that it's horrible. It's horrible what people have you know said to do. And it's like they decide to do, and it's like they really need to seek help. I think.
Yeah, I agree because majority of these shootings has been dealt with mental health, and our politicians are not doing a very good job of helping that. Before we get into more details about this, I want to ask all the viewers a question, and please make comments in the chat below, and everything. I want to hear your guys' opinion or your guys' thoughts on this. Okay. Today's question is: do you know what the AR stands for in AR-15? And at the end of the episode, we're going to let you guys know what it actually means. So please let us know what you guys think. But as of 2024, I looked at the FBI stats. 24 incidents of active shooters. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's too many.
Yeah. And it happened in 19 states. 19 states. But that's as of 2024. Right now, I think we're looking at more than just that of active shooters right now.
Right.
Like the most recent one was in Dallas, Texas, where an ICE facility was shot up by a either immigrant or some kind of protester over at the ice facility. Now, I don't know if you guys heard that, but that's, to me, is like, what is the problem here? I know people are protesting, but there's a thing called peaceful protesting, and rioters.
Yeah.
What you guys' thoughts on it? Because I know you guys heard about the LA protest, or how I want to call it, the LA riots, Chicago, Portland.
I think the people may have started with good intentions, but it they ended up making things a lot worse.
Yeah, when they started, it was a small thing and it was in control. And what happens is more people join and they don't have the same intentions as the original people who showed up. And it gets more out of hand and uncontrollable. And there are certain ones that cause the chaos that doesn't need to be happening in any kind of peaceful protest. Um, they're like the radicals that they want to turn a peaceful protest into a statement, and that's not what needs to happen. I mean, a peaceful protest needs to be a peaceful protest. It doesn't need to turn violent or have places burned down or people rioting in the streets. It's not how you're going to get stuff done.
Oh no, I completely agree. Because if we take a look back at all the protests going around, okay, go back a few years ago, George Floyd. That started as a peaceful protest, and then, as you said, more and more people got into it and started rioting. We even had one person that got uh, Kyle. I can't remember his last name. That stand trial for defending himself during that whole entire riot. Oh, I got. I'm gonna look it up. But he was ended up defending himself with an AR-15 and with rioters attacking him for no reason, all because really he was there.
Yeah.
It's
I
Kyle
know.
Rittenhouse. That's what his name was. And I'm glad he got off because it was self-defense. But
Yeah,
it's sad that he had to go through all that because of it. And then add on top of it the Breonna Taylor murder, people started protesting about that. You know, but when Charlie Kirk was murdered during an event, no one rioted. Everybody peacefully mourned, besides a few that we've seen all over the internet. But all that was peaceful. But now we have these immigration raids and like that. People want to protest, but also riot at the same time.
Yeah. You can't have both. Either you are going to riot and bring that negative attention to yourself, or you're going to peaceful protest. I mean, you shouldn't take people what people want and make it and say, hey, let me make it my time to shine by making it a negative thing.
Oh yeah, now we have all these riots going on. I'm calling it riots, but if you're shooting up ICE facilities, if you're stopping police from doing their job, even including ICE officers from doing their jobs, that's really not much protesting. That's a riot.
Yeah.
I don't know current 2025 data about all the shootings that's been going on that has been happening and either injuries, deaths, you know, but all I do know is in 2024, these are the final statistics for it. There's been 25 active shooters. 22 of them were males, and 3 of them were females. Casualties was 106. But there's only been 3 mass shootings last year. That says a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. This world is going someplace dark.
Yeah. And, you know, I know I said this last podcast. I'm going to say it again. I'm doing a mass shooter threat here in November. Going up to Grand Junction for this class. But as of 2025, right now, for the beginning of the year to today's date, there has been 4 church shootings. And last year there was only 1.
Yeah, people are going more extreme with their, ideals of the way of how extreme they're going. It's like I don't even know how to put it.
It's speechless to me. You know,
Yeah.
I do got to say, I got to give up to one church. One church, you know, in Michigan that happened in June of this year. The only person that was eliminated was the shooter. No casualties, no injuries. And I think most of you guys know who was hearing this. And it was on live broadcast. They were streaming live their church sermon or some kind of event at the church. The security guards there, even an unarmed civilian, stopped the shooter before they even made it to the doors of the church.
That's really good.
Yeah. And the unarmed civilian, what I heard out of the news reports, struck the shooter with his car, with his truck. I got to hand it. Use what you got on hand. If it stops them, it stops them.
Yeah.
But I got to give up to those security guards, even that unarmed civilian. They took the initiative to get training, and that's how they were prepared. You know, but I think the worst shooting, a church shooting there has been, was another uh, in Minneapolis where 3 were killed and 21 were injured. I feel sorry for the families that happened to. That it should never. But I think a lot of these shootings, these active shooters, it comes down to mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mental health has been very serious here in the U.S. I don't know why our politicians hasn't done anything more about it.
And sometimes it's something so little as treating people with respect and dignity that they deserve, and not making them jokes.
Yeah, or it could be as simple as some took a that broken up with someone and took it really hard.
Yeah.
Not everybody can handle certain things that go on in daily life. And not only just that, we don't know the kind of people we're interacting every single day. Some may have a mental health disorder, social disorder, or something like that that gives them a hard time to interact with other people.
Yeah.
It could be loved ones, it could be friends, it could be a stranger that you just met, you know. So I know I would like to talk about different ways to help everybody that watches this podcast of how they can help someone in their daily lives that they may not know. Um, I don't know, you guys recently saw on the news, about officers stopped a guy from shooting up uh, an airport. You they got a call from a family member that knew that he had some kind of mental health disorder or something going wrong and reported it and they stopped it before it could happen. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think about that, but I thought they did the right thing.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. If you think someone's in trouble and needs to be stopped before that before they do something that they'll regret, or you know cost other people their lives, that you need to report it. You need to tell people about it.
Yeah, the I'd say the biggest things everybody that is watching this they need to look out for is typical behaviors of depression. Either they lash out, they withdraw, or the plain simple comments that isn't usually them. Like, I don't know what you guys think. What would be unusual comments or, something of a red flag? I want to hear everybody's thoughts. If you're watching this, please comment down below what you guys think would be red flags. What would be concerning to help understand someone's state of mind?
I mean, it's really difficult. You have to start by, you know, figuring out what exactly is bothering them. I mean, if they look troubled or that, then you start off by, hey, how about let's talk? You know, sometimes it can be as simple as let's talk, and then that could at least help a little bit to understand where they're coming from, and then you could work your way from there.
Or saying, "Hey, what is there something wrong?" Just being taking 2 seconds out of your day to be uh, you know a human being to another human being, just being kind, could be the difference between someone ending up dead or multiple people ending up dead and nothing happening.
Yeah, I don't know. This is new generation coming around. But back in the 90s, there was a movie called Pay It Forward, and the idea of it was you help out three people. It doesn't matter if it's something like just simply saving someone's life, or helping them out with something difficult they couldn't do themselves, that they needed help but they're too scared to ask for help, or just simple of being there for someone. And those three people help out three more people out each of themselves, and goes around, and that creates a bigger and bigger support network.
Yeah,
You guys remember that movie?
I remember it. I never watched it, but I do remember seeing the trailers for it.
It's a good and sad movie. Okay, it's sad towards the end, but it's a good movie that actually shows, hey, how to help someone pretty much, and not ask for anything in return.
Yeah,
You know, the biggest thing I want everybody to remember is that, when you help out someone, don't ever expect anything in return. Don't, because that to me is a little greedy in my perspective. If you have to be bought to help someone, but you know, reaching out, being a hand, being a listening ear, yes, that is a good one to do. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Another red flag is, if you know that someone was a social butterfly, and then all of a sudden starts being a homebody and started withdrawing from their social network, I think that's a huge red flag that someone needs help.
right.
Yes.
And that's where loved ones, friends that realize that need to intervene, because some of these shootings that I've seen, maybe that's what happened. And their mental mind or state of mind has gotten worse and worse and just builds from there. And then I can guarantee pretty much a lot of these school shootings has been about either parents are not helping their kids out with their mental health, or they're being bullied in school.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the early ones were about, Columbine and all those school shootings like that. They were all about kids who were being bullied, and then they got manipulated by a third party because they were so beaten down and weak from being bullied that They were ready to listen to anyone, and there was a person there that they listened to, and it turned out to be a person saying, "Why not kill all those people that are torturing you and tormenting you?"
Yeah, and you spoke of Columbine. If you look at, if we focus on that, I know it's a tragic event, and I live in the city or close to the city where it happened, and one, it's from peer pressure and bullies. One of them were being bullied, the other one took hand, and then you know, looking up all this dark stuff that we just got internet, like we just got the web around that time when Columbine happened and all that. You know, at that time we had the uh, assault rifle ban, and those kids had a couple assault style weapons that shot up the school. It's a tragic event, but we're going to dig into the mental health side, but not the shooting part. They have came out several times that they were troubled and everything, but kind of hid it in a way, but no one caught it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I've caught it with some of the these videos I've been posting about the history of Columbine and everything, and the way they were really good in school, all of a sudden started dropping their grades. That's a sign.
Yeah.
Was around a whole lot of people. Then once they start getting bullied more and more and more often, they started withdrawing themselves. That's a sign. I'm gonna say this is a little personal. It's like I got two kids, both in high school right now, and they both get bullied. But I'm the kind of parent that is trying to stop that. But the schools don't listen, the administrations don't listen, and the teachers definitely don't listen.
No.
I actually had one day where my autistic son had a boot print on his back from a kid, and the school did nothing.
Wow.
You know, I'm the parent that's really involved in my kids' education because education is very important. But these schools, these education systems saying they have zero tolerance for bullies or zero tolerance for violence, that's a crock to me. I don't know how is it got over there, you know.
It's the school that are the ones that we pick up for. It's not good. It's we try to get help for our nephew, and it's like they just don't wanna.
Yeah. And it's like just trying to do something about it. The schools don't want to listen. They think the parents are always wrong. The parents are overreacting, but no. When my son comes home with a boot print and injury, no, there's something going on. There's something needs to be done. They even threatened to suspend my son for him being bullied.
That's that's like backwards thinking. I don't. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And I called the school out for it. I threatened with lawsuits. I threatened with taking their jobs. And then when I finally went that route, that's when they said, okay, never mind, we won't suspend your son. But they still did nothing to the bully.
Yeah, they should be acting against the bullies. I mean, this whole new teaching style thing is a breeding ground for disaster.
Oh yeah, and that's I want that to change. I want schools to be more like how they were in the '90s, honestly, and the early 2000s, where teachers actually gave 2 cents about the kids, about their mental state and everything that actually reaches out to help kids.
Yeah,
Nowadays it's more about I'm not getting paid enough and I want more money.
well, I mean, they should have known whenever they were going to school to be a teacher that you're not doing it to get paid. You're doing it because you love your job. If you wanted to get paid, you should have gone into a field that was going to pay.
Yeah. And I gotta do hand out there are some teachers, and there's not a whole lot, a handful that actually do care about kids. And those are rare to find these days.
Yeah,
But, you know, with everything going on, it seems teachers care about getting paid than they care about educating the kids. Same thing with administrations.
yeah,
Now, especially these universities. I know Virginia, like, going to Virginia Tech where it got shot up by a college student. It could have been stopped before it happened by reaching out to the kids or the students.
yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize when they intervene with other people that there are red flags, there are signs that people are crying for help, but they're not wanting to show that they need help.
Right.
You know, um, just looking over this data, I don't, and hopefully some people can realize most of these shootings are not done by assault weapons or how people want to call assault weapons, but how I see the definition of assault weapon is military, and civilians can't have military weapons. But
That's how I've always saw them. I mean, because they're used for assaulting places. I mean, they're not going to assault a place with a single fire weapon. Uh, you don't see the military assaulting buildings with single fire weapons.
yeah, and as you said, for that, they got to have something that can fire more than just one bullet.
Yeah,
But how people want to call assault weapons, only 31% were rifles out of all the shootings of last year.
yeah,
31%. 10% was shotguns.
yeah. Those two are pretty small numbers. Let me guess, the majority is handguns.
Yes, as of 59%.
Yeah,
And the data shows, you know, that handguns are the most used in shootings. But all these left leaning, and yes, I'm saying left leaning because if you actually look at all the stuff that's going on, the gun control, are saying assault rifles styled weapons are the cause of all these shootings.
I mean, more people I've seen on the news more people focus on the assault weapon shootings than pistol shootings and stuff like that, because I think it's because handgun doesn't sound as sexy as assault weapon. No one wants to hear about the guy that used the handgun to shoot up a place, because who wants to hear about that? They want to hear about the assault weapon. Not saying I lean any which way, but if you think about terminology, it's more catchy to go, this guy used up an assault rifle to tear up a school, instead of hearing this guy tore up a school with a handgun. I mean, that's that's not news right there. That's like you're hitting for the fences whenever you just say, "Oh, somebody shot 7 people in a school with a handgun. They're all dead." Instead, they want to cover the story. Oh, there's a mass shooting at a school with an assault rifle. There's many injured and many wounded, and it's unconfirmed how many dead. Like this guy's in a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like Commando, tearing up at the school like that. That's really what gets me. Is that they want to cover stuff that sounds better whenever it's talked about than you know the all of it than all of it.
Yeah, I love that terminology that you use because the reason why I was laughing because it brought up an thought in my head when you said that. It's like, well, if we kind of look back at politicians, will we want to hear a politician getting a hand job from their clerk or getting head in the Oval Office? Which one brings up good, better news?
Exactly.
So that's what kind of came in my mind when you said that. It's like, okay, I get your terminology, you know, and yeah, I agree. Everything is about ratings. What's going to bring up the most people to watch the news?
Yeah.
Like here a few weeks ago, we had a school shooting with a kid using a revolver
Yeah.
of all kind of handguns, a revolver that holds 6 rounds.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, 2 kids were injured, and the shooter self deleted. I hope that's the right term without being censored here. And that was in Evergreen, Colorado. And so, of we can determine a lot of shootings are going to be used by a certain weapon. We can predict, but we can't confirm.
Now, let me ask a question about that. How much news coverage did that gain?
I believe a good 2 weeks worth of coverage.
Okay. Now look back on like Columbine, which was an assault rifle shooting, and think about how much coverage that got. I mean, we still hear about that today in today's date sometime. Am
Yeah,
I right?
that was Columbine was the biggest shooting or school shooting ever happened that was ever thought of at the time.
And I mean, not to downsize Columbine or anything, but this kid snuck a revolver into school, a 6-shot weapon. This kid knew how it was going to end. I'm pretty positive about that because if you bring in a weapon with a certain amount of rounds, you have a plan because this isn't this isn't an assault rifle. I mean, this isn't a 30 round magazine or a 20 round magazine. This is 6 bullets. They're not going to focus. You're not going to hear about this kid ever again, probably. Like, you heard about him 2 weeks, you're never going to hear about him again. Whenever
Most
that's
likely, he had targets in mind.
right, which this is the kind of kid you should be hearing about a lot because this kid wanted to kill, delete certain people and then himself.
The kid was on a mission. If you're
Yeah,
coming in with a revolver with the whole 6 rounds, and you have to reload it multiple times after 6 shots, there's a mission.
yeah,
And with this mission, there could have been several people that could have stopped this from happening
yeah.
for it getting to that point. That brings me up another thought. Don't know if you guys heard about this. I don't know all viewers. In I think it's Minnesota, 2 parents are going to prison because they refuse to help their kid. And
Uh,
that kid brought a loaded firearm to school, and the parents refused to pick him up.
wow, that's backwards. I mean,
And he was going to shoot up that school with that firearm. They caught it just in time, but the school's been hollering to the parents that he needed to get a mental health check. He needed to, you know, get some help,
yeah,
but the parents refused.
yeah. Uh, that's they're obviously not like parent of the year, or parent of the hour or anything like that. Because I know if my parents would hear something like that, they would take extreme measures on me, to be like, what's going on? Uh, as and I mean, as would I'm sure any sane parent would do if your kid is showing signs that they're going to bring a weapon that is loaded to school. You know, you would like if even if it's just anyone, if you would hear such and such is bringing a loaded gun to school, I'm pretty sure you would take steps to make sure that didn't happen because I'm pretty sure you don't want to get shot or risk getting shot or any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the last thing I remember before I stopped hearing about it was that the parents are being sentenced to up to 15 years in prison. The kid is being sent to a mental health facility, I believe. Not 100% sure, and then prison.
I
as it
mean,
as it should be. I mean, they need to people need to receive help. That's the whole thing is there's not enough people willing to help than there should be.
Yeah, and this whole entire episode we're talking about these shootings, but we're focusing on the mental health side of it because that's the biggest important thing. Because there's something has to be mentally wrong with you to go shoot up somewhere.
Yeah.
And I have an associate's degree in firearm technology, but within that associate, I had to take a class called Introduction to Psychology. So I've gotten the education of how to spot someone with bipolar, ADHD, schizophrenia, depression, stuff like that. And that after taking that class, that opened my eyes up to a lot more of looking at all. If we dig deeper into these shootings, what are we going to find on the mental health side?
Yeah.
Like, how many of them felt completely hopeless before they decided, you know what, I'm taking this into my own hands. I'm going to do this horrible thing to get everyone's attention, and then I'm going to, be no more.
Yeah, and that's the saddest part about it. People cry out for help, but no one's listening.
Right.
And a lot of this is attention seeking behavior, but it's to the extreme.
Yeah.
And it's hard to try to convince people, you know, when you have loved ones. And I gotta say, I do have loved ones that had self deleted, you know, and it's hard to pull someone out of that kind of state of mind. And you, instead of giving up, uh, you know, people who are listening, keep going, keep reaching to help them pull it out because it's never too late until they decide to pull that trigger. No, I don't know if Canon, because you knew anybody that was struggling so much, and then later on you found out they are no more and they're planning a funeral.
Unfortunately, yes, I had a very dear friend's grandfather who he was almost like a third grandfather to me, and he unfortunately found out that he was going to be not in a good way health wise. He was going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, going into like bed bound whenever he wasn't in a chair, and he decided he wasn't going to put his family through it, and he self deleted.
Sorry for your loss. Um, I bet there could have been something more that could have happened to pull him out of that. Um, we, uh, I don't. Whoever is going to listen to this, provide support. Provide that stability that someone's having trouble needs, and even being a listening ear, even giving advice, or just being there for someone could change someone's thought.
Exactly. It only takes one beacon of light to pull someone out of an endless darkness.
No, and so maybe, hopefully, whoever listens to this listens to how they can help someone, how they can spot someone going through this. Maybe might prevent the next mass shooting. You know, but
Yeah.
yeah, Uh, just need to be aware of people's behaviors. If you see something going around, there is a 1-800 suicide line that people can contact. Text if they don't feel like talking. There are help out there, and people need to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
So we're coming close to the end of the episode. To review back, we have talked about the kind of shootings have been, the data of it, the red flags, or the kind of signs that everybody need to be aware of someone who they're friends with or their loved ones, and ways they can get help or how they can help them in ways. You guys have any input on that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you, it's just like everything else. If you see something, say something or do something. Don't just go, whatever. You know?
Or don't be like, well, someone else will do it. Please take it into your own hands to help pull someone out, even if it's just a small tumble. It can still lead to a big fall if you do not stop it.
Yeah. Just take a look at the signs. Text messages, behaviors, body language tells everything. People cry out for help even when they're not really asking for it. So that's where I'm going to leave it right there. Um, Towards the beginning of the show, I asked people if they knew what the AR and AR stands for. So far, no one has commented or anything. But what do you guys think AR stands for?
Well, I happen to
Alright.
know what AR stands for. Being a big gun person myself, it stands for Armor Light, after the first company that started making the platform.
You, Cannon?
Yep, I knew that. I'd said it already, but I guess you didn't hear me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were kind of quiet, microphone wise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yes, it's Armor Light Rifles, named after the company that made it. So I know there's been a lot of confusions around, especially in the news media, where AR stands for assault rifle.
That's not it.
No.
No. So, and anybody can Google it. If you guys don't want to believe us talking on here, and even though we have big, huge knowledge of firearms, you know, Google it. It's going to pop up right there saying Armalite rifle. So, but for next week's, I want you guys to think about it. You know, you heard us saying data's about the biggest use of handguns and everything. But what do you guys think about what's going on with Glock? How they're coming out with a new model of the V series or something like that. So the big question, should the government regulate how firearms are made? I'd like to hear you guys' comments for next week. Thoughts? You guys have anything to add?
Nope. I believe this is a good ending.
Yep.
So, I'd like to say aloha. See you guys next week on the Gun Talk, the Halloween series. You know, hope you guys are going to have a good Halloween. So, See you guys next week. And technical difficulties.